Lilo the penguin and her dream to fly. In the icy land of Snowyville, where the snow never melts and the wind sings softly like a lullaby, there lived a little penguin named Lilo. Lilo was not like other penguins. She was small, curious, and full of dreams. While most penguins were happy sliding on ice and swimming in the cold sea, Lilo loved to sit quietly and look up at the sky. She would watch the birds soaring high above, flapping their wings, dancing with the clouds, and disappearing into the blue. Wow, Lilo would sigh. How amazing it must feel to fly. Every morning, Lilo would sit on her favorite rock, the one shaped like a heart, right near the edge of the snowy cliff. She would close her eyes, stretch out her little wings, and flap them as fast as she could. "Someday," she whispered with a hopeful smile, "I will fly too." The other penguins would giggle kindly and say, "Silly Lilo, penguins don't fly. We swim, we slide, and we waddle. Flying is for birds in the sky." But Lilo didn't give up. She believed that if she tried hard enough, maybe, just maybe, she could fly like the birds she admired so much. One day, Lilo climbed to the top of a small, snowy hill. She flapped her wings really fast, ran as fast as her little feet could go, and jumped. Splat! She landed in a pile of snow. "Oof," she said, shaking the snow off her beak. Well, that didn't work, but she didn't cry. She laughed and said, "I'll try again." The snow puffed up around her like a soft white cloud, and her tiny feet stuck out from the pile. A passing snow bunny peeked from behind a tree and giggled. Lilo popped her head up and grinned. "Did you see that? I almost flew," she said proudly. She rolled onto her belly, slid down the rest of the hill, and landed near a sparkling frozen pond. The wind gently brushed her feathers, as if cheering her on. Lilo looked up at the sky again and whispered, "Okay, flying might take a few more tries, but I'm not giving up." Lilo waddled to the edge of the forest where the birds lived. She called out, "Hello, birds! Can you teach me how to fly?" A kind bluebird flew down and said, "Little penguin, flying takes light wings and strong winds, but we can teach you to flap like we do." So Lilo practiced flapping with the birds every day. They met under the tall pine trees each morning, where sunbeams peeked through the branches like golden fingers. The bluebird, named Breezy, showed Lilo how to stretch her wings wide, tilt her head up, and flap with rhythm. "Flap up, flap down. Just like dancing," Breezy chirped. Sometimes little leaves would twirl down from the trees, and Lilo would chase them, pretending they were floating clouds. She giggled and twirled, even if she never left the ground. Other birds joined in too, a cheerful robin, a sleepy owl, and even a silly woodpecker who made the trees shake with his tapping. They all cheered Lilo on. "Your flapping is getting better," said the robin. "You've got the heart of a flyer," hooted the owl. Lilo's wings were still too small to lift her up, but her spirit was growing bigger and braver every day. And when the wind blew gently through the trees, Lilo would close her eyes and imagine soaring high above the clouds, with her bird friends beside her. One day, Lilo met a little polar bear named Tilly. Tilly loved to watch the clouds. When Lilo told her about her dream, Tilly smiled and said, "That's the bravest dream I've ever heard." From then on, Tilly became Lilo's best friend and cheerleader. "I believe in you," Tilly would say every time Lilo tried to fly. They spent many afternoons together. Lilo would flap her wings while Tilly clapped her fuzzy paws and shouted, "Go, Lilo, go!" Sometimes they lay on the snowy ground side by side, pointing at the sky. "That cloud looks like a flying penguin," said Tilly. "And that one looks like you riding on my back," giggled Lilo. They built a snow ramp for Lilo to jump from, decorated with shiny pine cones and sticks like airplane wings. Tilly even painted a big sign that said "Lilo's Flying Spot" in the snow using berry juice. Even when Lilo fell into the snow, again and again, Tilly was there to pull her out, brush her off, and remind her, "Every flyer starts with a fall." Lilo had never felt so happy. With Tilly by her side, her dream felt stronger, like it had wings of its own. And when the stars came out, Tilly would whisper, "Maybe tomorrow will be the day you fly." And Lilo would smile sleepily and say, "Maybe it will." One cold afternoon, Lilo had a big idea. What if I build something to help me fly? With Tilly's help, Lilo collected feathers, leaves, sticks, and even an old kite. They worked all day making a flying suit just for Lilo. Lilo wore the flying suit proudly. It looked funny but felt magical. She climbed up a hill, took a deep breath, and ran. 3, 2, 1. Flap. The wind blew, the leaves rustled, and for a tiny second, Lilo lifted off the ground. But then, tumble, tumble, tumble. She rolled down the hill giggling. I think I flew for a moment. After many tries, Lilo felt tired. She sat on her rock and sighed. Maybe penguins really can't fly. Tilly sat beside her and said, "But you tried, Lilo. You tried harder than anyone I know. That's pretty amazing." Lilo looked up at the sky, where the clouds were turning golden with the setting sun. She wasn't flying, but she had done something big. She had dared to dream, and she gave it her all. Tilly pulled out a warm berry bun from her backpack and offered it to Lilo. "Even brave flyers need snacks," she said with a wink. They sat quietly for a while, watching a flock of birds soar by. And then Lilo smiled, not because she had flown, but because she had tried, with all her heart, and her best friend was right there beside her. "Maybe I'll fly tomorrow," Lilo whispered. "Or maybe I'll invent something even better." Tilly grinned. "Whatever you do, I'll be cheering." And as the stars began to twinkle, Lilo's dream didn't feel lost. It just felt bigger. That night, an old snowy owl flew down from the stars. "I heard about a penguin who wants to fly," he said kindly. "I may not have answers, little one, but I see something special in you. Sometimes the sky is not just for wings, it's for big dreams too." Lilo blinked sleepily, her eyes wide with wonder. The owl's feathers shimmered under the moonlight like snowflakes dancing in the dark. "Who are you?" Lilo whispered. "Call me Orion," the owl said, gently landing on a snow-covered branch. "I've flown across the world, through many skies, and I've seen dreams as big as mountains." Tilly peeked out from the tent they had built from twigs and leaves. His eyes sparkled. "Is Lilo's dream possible?" he asked softly. Orion looked at them both and nodded slowly. "Dreams don't always happen the way you expect. But when your heart is strong and your spirit is light, magical things can happen." Lilo sat quietly, thinking. Maybe flying wasn't just about going up in the air. Maybe it was about never giving up, even when things seemed impossible. The stars above twinkled like they were cheering. Orion stretched his wings and said, "Keep dreaming, little penguin. The sky is not only for feathers, it's for courage." And with that, he soared back into the night sky, leaving behind a trail of sparkling snow dust that slowly faded into the moonlight. Lilo looked at the stars and felt warm inside. "Maybe I can't fly like birds," she whispered, "but I can do something just as wonderful." She got a new idea. "I'll fly in my own way." Lilo started drawing and building. With help from her friends, Tilly, the birds, and even the wise owl, she created a snow glider. It was made of ice, windcloth, and penguin love. It wasn't flying like a bird, but it was her own invention. Lilo stood at the top of the tallest snowy cliff. Everyone gathered to watch. "You can do it, Lilo!" Tilly cheered. Lilo jumped into the wind, holding onto her snow glider. She didn't flap. She glided. Smooth like a bird on a breeze, the crowd gasped and cheered. "Lilo is flying!" Lilo soared across the sky, giggling and shouting, "Whee!" It wasn't the same as flapping wings, but it felt just as magical. She was the first penguin in Snowyville to glide through the sky. After her first flight, Lilo became known as Lilo the Brave. She started teaching other young penguins how to glide too. "Never stop dreaming," she would say, "even if your dream feels too big." One sunny day, the sky above Snowyville was full of little penguins gliding and laughing. Lilo looked up and smiled. The sky is big enough for all our dreams. Her glider idea had spread like sunshine after a long winter. Penguin families from all around built their own colorful snow gliders. Some used seashells for decoration. Others tied tiny ribbons and fish-shaped flags. Lilo stood at the top of her favorite hill, watching her friends zoom and swoop across the snow like fluffy little rockets. Tilly handed her a warm fish cookie and grinned. "Look what you started," he said. "You made flying possible, in your own penguin way." Lilo the penguin didn't just learn to fly, she taught others to believe. Because flying isn't only with wings, it's with dreams, courage, and friends by your side.